Good morning, Professor. My name is Primo Anselmi, and I have decided to pick this argument, the case of the Huffington Post. And I've chosen this argument and this topic because I'm pretty interested in journalism. I have previously done some works with some blogs and sites. So it's pretty interesting for me, the case study of Huffington Post, and also I didn't know much about this newspaper, this online platform, and it was very interesting for me to understand better and to go deep in this topic. So I will show the table of contents. I have decided to divide my presentation in four main parts: the introduction, with a brief introduction about the company, the story, and the founders. The second part is the pioneer business model, so the business model that the company adopted since its launch in 2005. After that, there is the current business model, so the model that the Huffington Post has currently. So in the present moment, even if the data that were in the PDF are up to date only to 2050. I saw that there is some new novelties, like for example the fact that BuzzFeed, that was considered a competitor, acquired the company. So I imagine that this factor could affect my presentation, but I've decided to base my presentation on the data that I had. Obviously, I've made some researches more, but I've based the presentation on the data that I had. And lastly, threats and conclusion. So a brief analysis of the main competitors of the Huffington Post and the possible future threats based on competitors' new ideas or new platforms, etc. So starting from the introduction, the Huffington Post is an American news aggregator founded in New York in 2005 by Arianna Huffington, Kenneth Lehrer, Andrew Breitbart, and John Operetti. Its business model is completely innovative and, as in my opinion and opinion of many critics, completely revolutionized the market of classic newspapers, printed newspapers. That's because they introduced the communities and they made the communities a part of the newspaper and the platform. That is because many times the bloggers are also the readers, and the readers are also the bloggers. Doing that, they have also a lot of content, and most of all unpaid content, that has reduced the costs and made the Huffington Post one of the biggest newspaper and the most read newspaper in the United States. As I said before, in November 2020, it was acquired by BuzzFeed, that was considered one of the main competitors of the Huffington Post. So I think that in the next years, the situation will be affected by this factor. But as I said, I will analyze the data and the situation of the Huffington Post until the acquisition of BuzzFeed. So in this slide, I will present the history of the Huffington Post, that, as I said, was launched on 9th of May of 2005 with a starting investment of $1 million. In my opinion, the Huffington Post has exploited the rise of the internet, but also the decline of the classical business model of the print newspapers that was based on and that is based on journalistic content and advertisement that already at the time was in decline. So through a news aggregation platform from different sources, the Huffington Post created a space um, for the community of readers and also for the bloggers, and created a real interaction between them. The success was very important, also because at the time the blogs were not so popular. A study demonstrated that 60% of Americans with access on with internet did not know anything about what blogs were. So the success it's even more important caused by this factor. At the beginning, the Huffington Post started as a liberal alternative to the Drudge Report, that was a Republican online news aggregator launched 8 years before. And in fact, the idea of the Huffington Post platform came up during the presidential election of 2004. And at this time, the community and the news aggregator had a lot of success because of this new space that created for debate, for creation of new content, and for the space that created for the blogs writers. In fact, in 2008, for the following presidential elections between Obama and McCain, the blog became even more read. The platform and the website had more visitors, and it became the most read newspaper or website, independent website in United States. So about the founders, the Huffington Post was founded, as I said, by Arianna Huffington, Kenneth Lehrer, Andrew Breitbart, and John Peretti. As I said, the main idea of this new platform came up during the presidential race of 2004, and Arianna Huffington, that in my opinion is one of the main founder, was already a political and social commentator with 2 prior experiences of websites and blogs. One was named racingnation.com and the other one arianaonline.com. So she was pretty experienced in the field for the time, and also her cultural and political background helped for the startup, for the Huffington Post startup. That's because she had a wide network in politics, and it's true that she has changed a lot of parties, and because in 2002 she considered herself as a conservative. After that, she was aligned with the Republican Party, and even in 2003 she ran for governor in California as an independent. But thanks to these political experiences, she had a lot of social capabilities and a good network that through public endorsement helped a lot the rise of the Huffington Post. So in this second part, I will analyze the market demand at the time and the pioneer business model of the first years of the Huffington Post. So the market demand was very high. From 2002 and 2004, the demand for internet as an information source almost doubled, with a plus 80%. And at the same time, the population who read newspapers decreased by 40%. And according to another study, 50% of the young from 80 to 34 use internet portals such as yahoo.com or msn.com as a daily news source. In my opinion, and in the opinion of many critics, the Huffington Post was able to respond and adequate its business model rapidly to this new market demand, especially with the possibility for the consumers and the readers to become an active part of the process. So to become a sort of content creators, but at the same time with a very high engagement. So this factor was very important for the first years of the Huffington Post, and it is still one of the main characteristics of the Huffington Post. So the pioneer business model was based on some core principles. The value proposition was very simple. In fact, the platform redefined completely the relationship between the readers and the journalist. And as I said, the readers became the creators and vice versa. So this caused a very high engagement with a lot of good numbers, even online or in terms of views on paid advertisement, because a lot of people used to spend a lot of time on the platform because of these high engagement strategies. The key activities and the key resources. The key activity was to publicate already published articles through the system of aggregated news, and blog posts that were wrote by unpaid contributors. So this was also an economic important factor. And the key resources, as I said, was only 1 million to start the business and the startup. The key partners, we can define the main partner, the community that was composed from readers and bloggers, plus the social capabilities and the network of the founder, Arianna Huffington, helped thanks to public endorsement, and that really helped the startup in the Huffington Post in the first months and first years. For the customer segments and customers, the niche market was mainly the readers that was interested by politics. So it was very limited, very niche, and it was of course limited to the American market, and in the second time on the Canadian market. The channel was one, so the website and the online platform, and the revenues and cost. The revenues came from the advertisement online, and the costs are very low. Were very low because there weren't stable journalists, and the majority of the content was aggregated or created with unpaid blog posts. So about the current business model, as we will see, the current business model is a little bit different from the previous one. In fact, the value proposition changed because of an expansion in terms of topics and in terms also of countries. So the topics changed and expanded from politics to a general news provider. So the articles are actually from economics to culture to sport to comedy. So the business model changed a bit from a niche market. It became a general news provider with, of course, a lot of new visitors and users. The key activity is, of course, based on the community, but with some renewed and new platforms, such as the HuffPost social news that came with the rise of the social media, and the HuffPost Live, that is a sort of online video platform with some programs and videos live. And even there is a new strategy with original content and reports and investigative journalism that made also win a Pulitzer Prize in 2012. The key partners also changed because a lot of collaborations with B2B partners such as Facebook, or for example HuffPost social news, or some important partnership with European newspapers such as El País, Le Monde, L'Espresso. The customer segments and the customer relationship also changed. That is because the expansion in Italy, Spain, France, Japan, Great Britain, and Germany, and the relationship with the customer improved because of the new platforms and new possibilities that the platforms provide to the customers. The channels, of course, as I said, changed with new platforms in partnership with Facebook, as I said, for the HuffPost social news and the HuffPost Live. The revenues and costs also changed completely. That is because the expansion made the Huffington Post to have some salaried and stable journalists that are the minority of the staff. In fact, we have about 800 fixed and stable journalists and about 90,000 unpaid blog writers. The cost, of course, raised also because of the expansion in Europe and Japan. About the future threats and the conclusion, I have examined briefly the main possible competitors. I have excluded BuzzFeed because, as I said, one of the main competitors, that was BuzzFeed, acquired the company in November 2020. So the main competitors that remain are Google News, Twitter, and Facebook. Google News and Facebook at the moment, in my opinion, are the most dangerous one. In fact, Google News, for example, from 2040 and 2050 doubled the unique visitor using the service. That is a sort of aggregation of news service. Twitter has a completely different approach, but as the Huffington Post depends on the number of visitors and unique visitors for the advertisement, of course, every big competitor, such social media or Twitter, could cause and erode the market position of the Huffington Post. And finally, Facebook, it's the biggest threat in my opinion, especially in the future. It could be that is because of its enormous user base and enormous power in terms of money. At the moment, there is no a news aggregator system at Facebook, but if they will decide to do it, it would be very difficult for Huffington Post to compete with them. So in conclusion, the Huffington Post was a disruptive innovation in the news market, and they exploited the rise, the new market demands, and the internet in general, with some innovation and revolution in the communication field. Despite the expansion and the increase of competitors, they have survived. They managed to survive, and their business model seems to be very engaging and could be successful even in the future. However, as I said in the last slide, the tech giants such as Google, Facebook, and Twitter gained power and could represent a very dangerous threat because of the user base and the economical power that they have. So thank you very much and goodbye.